Welcome to the program. I'm Christopher Michael McHugh with Phil Capella. How's it going tonight, Phil?
Stuff's going pretty well. How about yourself?
Not bad at all. We're talking the big news of the day, the week, almost probably the month, the year. The new Sling TV. It's coming from Dish Network. Everybody's talking about it. I've heard, Phil, everything from there's 20 channels, or actually 12 channels, $20 a month to 200 channels. I don't know which one it is, but me, myself, ever since I believe back in 1996, I want to say, I saw Vivo Active, one of the first streaming players, and I thought, wow, this is going to revolutionize television and everything's going to be online soon. And here we are finally. And I feel like this week with this Sling TV, where you're finally getting these cable channels over the internet, that it's finally happening. It took a long time. What do you think?
It's interesting. I've been following, and I'm going to drop the big bomb on the show. I've been following Sling a little bit. My ex-wife is married to their creative director.
Ah,
And I have Dish Television. They, for the last couple years, have been having a product called Hopper that would allow you to essentially see what's on your DVR. And I guess, because of the legal situation with that, it was easier than trying to get these, straight streaming rights. And I've sort of conscientiously not subscribed to it, but I've always been aware of it, and it's been like this really interesting product. And so they're essentially applying that same technology, from what I understand, to now live broadcast television. So as opposed to just being able to access what's on your DVR, they're sending you a straight stream, which I think is going to really change everything. A lot of it is obviously the technology's been in place for a while. There's been a lot of people trying to do this, but they're the first people that have gotten the rights correct. And I'm not a lawyer. I don't know how they quite were able to manage that, but it seems like that's going to be the big hurdle. It's not going to be a technical hurdle. It's going to be a legal hurdle.
and the only way that I could get these linear live feeds before was US TV Now, which I know a lot of people, wink wink, have gotten probably through the Roku channel. It's supposed to be just for people living outside the United States to get US TV channels. I think they're based out of, I want to say maybe Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and then they stream out. So you can actually get the over-the-air channels too. I believe Harrisburg, PA market. But I think it was like $30 a month. That was the only other way that I'm aware of that you could have over-the-top live linear, and it wasn't on the up and up. So this is the first.
Well, that's maybe where I smirk. I work in broadcast television, and I really stress when I say broadcast, meaning they have the antennas, and that's the difference. And with that you can get live TV, and so it seems like it's almost a solution in search of a problem, where you have all these people trying to come up with a new way to get live television, as opposed to, in my mind, it seems there's already television. The problem is you don't have a DVR on your computer. It isn't accessible. You can't skip through the commercials. Like, television's made it self-obsolete, as opposed to embracing the technology and trying to hybridize it. And in South Korea, their cell phones have an antenna. And if you want to watch the game, you're watching it on TV, but it's on a phone. And so it's something, I think it isn't just a black and white issue that one needs to go one way and the other way. It's online. It's all just distribution methods.
Yeah,
So
these are all convergence problems, and it's funny that you mentioned the antenna because I was actually looking up for myself. I remember maybe it was the National Association of Broadcasters a few years ago was pushing U.S. handset manufacturers to be able to pick up their digital signals, and I think it was Metro PCS was the one carrier that did it. But the problem was, at least I read, is that you have to have two radios. Then you got your radio for the regular cell phone, then you got to have another receiver for the TV signal. And then, but then I read, like you were saying, in certain parts of Asia, this was going on, and I was looking at maybe getting an LG Flex phone, and the review I saw, somebody had gotten one from Asia, and they pulled out the antenna out of the bottom. And I think it was yesterday, so the first time I saw what you were talking about.
yeah, I mean, everything old is new again, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And, that really segues into this whole Aereo thing, where they went all the way up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said essentially that you guys aren't a multi-channel video program distributor, meaning you don't own stuff like the cable company, the lines, and everything in the facilities. So you guys, because you aren't that, you can't carry the over-the-air television channels at all. And then also, too, the big problem with Aereo is that they didn't want to pay the over-the-air television channels, too. So it's possible the FCC very soon could say that somebody distributing content could become a multi-channel video program distributor, and that opens the door, not for Aereo because they went bankrupt, but I know there was Film On, that was another company that was doing it. Um, but now, Dish with the new Sling can maybe start doing that, or somebody else, the new PlayStation View.
Yeah, well, I have a product, iTelevision, which seems to me a pretty reasonable answer to Aereo. And it's what does the hardware. It tries to give you some sort of DVR. It gives you some sort of program selection. So it seems like some sort of hybrid model is going to come from something of this convergence. But
And the old model, I feel like the Sling thing was the nail in the coffin. A week or two ago, PricewaterhouseCoopers did a survey that they point out cable subscriptions among Americans 18 to 24 dropped 71% in 2014, and I feel like it's game over for those guys. And I don't know anybody that's going to be sad to see their local cable monopoly go away, or have an option like Sling or Sony's PlayStation View.
if you're in an area without fiber, those kids still will have cable. They're just not paying cable television. It's all just data. So if Time Warner has a monopoly in an area, it's true you're not paying the cable bill, but then you go, I'm a cord cutter, I hate Time Warner, and so I'm going to pay my $50 a month for broadband internet. And the only person bringing it into you is Time Warner.
And they're going to jack
So
up.
it's sort of a catch-22. It's still
And they're going to jack up the price of that internet.
Pardon me?
And they're going to jack up the price of that internet too, because
Oh, of course. If you and so I just think a lot of it's going to be way more product specific, meaning the cable companies are going to be making a lot less money from their channels and being thought of a content distributor. But they're going to own so much bandwidth, they'll be able to make their money on bandwidth. And then you have content distributors that are able to do things without the cable system because other costs have come down. And then you have television, which I still think, and it's maybe because my heart's been in broadcasting, but I do think for live sports and live breaking news, television provides a service that other things really can't rival. Just because if you want to watch the best signal, 1080, unless you're watching Blu-rays, I mean, there's 4K and all that, but if you're just watching television, the best signal you're actually going to get is off the air. It's better than, I mean, fibers maybe, whatever, but it's still, it's pristine, it's wireless, it's instant. So,
and that's the thing. Now they have 4K televisions, and I'm sorry, but I can't even get a high def channel unless I put the rabbit ears up. And you know what? Ever since they did all these digital sub channels, you're still not getting, there's just not enough
bandwidth.
Yeah, there's just not enough there. So, I'm watching a lot of YouTube stuff, a lot of stuff streamed, probably 480. And you know what? I don't care. For me personally, at least. But good luck selling people on these 4K TVs. But back to your point, you were talking about the cable companies still owning the pipeline there. Maybe that's the next battle. Now that we've gone over that hump of the cable, Comcast of the world, AT&T's don't have a lockdown on the linear channels. Maybe that's the next thing, and maybe there is hope with Google Fiber. I know they finally spoke out to the FCC and said, well, yeah, we could if we could have access to the telephone poles like the telephone company does, then they can come in. So maybe there's Google coming in, or maybe, it's all theoretical right now, but 5G signals too, and then there's what's it called? Super Wi-Fi, I think they're calling it. Where you can get a small area and get
Well, it's
Wi-Fi.
also, it sounds funny, but that whole text messaging through Bluetooth that was being used in Hong Kong, a lot of that's just like relief on the system. Meaning you have 300 million teenagers in North America between Mexico and Canada sending text messages. It's small little data, but it does, a drop in the bucket, a drop in the bucket. And if you can actually free up fiber and free up satellite, it seems like you can be, finding the bandwidth that you can, start putting stuff through.
Yeah.
Maybe that should be for next time. I don't know. We haven't really gotten all that together.
Yeah, it's true. And we were talking about a few weeks ago, YouTube releasing their 2014 Rewind, and it's got all these big YouTube stars and a lot of people. I think in general, I mean, even if you're 10, you're 12 years old, you're not going to know who all these people are. But as you look at that video and you don't recognize people, it makes you think, are these people really stars? Are these the next generation of stars? And I'm just not familiar with them. What do you think about all that?
Well, I think that certainly there is talent in the world, and I think YouTube at this point has been able to find talent. But there is the idea that Justin Bieber may have been found on YouTube, but who's really saying, you know what, I really want to watch the 8-year-old Bieber banging on a drum? No, they go watch a produced video or whatever song they really are into, still been curated through some sort of system. So yeah, I think YouTube, maybe some of those guys are going to break through, but it doesn't seem that much different to me than Star Search was in the 80s, or this whole host of dancing shows and singing shows that are clearly looking for talent. And if you throw it at the wall enough, something's going to stick.
So you've got your Netflix, you got your Hulu, you got your Amazon, and now you got your Sling TV all on your box. Now, are you just going to be watching these mainstream providers, or is that going to help, say, like the Twit TV network that I watch a lot, or a lot of these kind of obscure, up-and-coming, maybe Roku channels, because people are just going to be looking through on the box and say, all right, Netflix, no, I don't see anything on there. I don't see anything on Sling. Let me see what else, what other apps I can get on there. I'm wondering, or if the big boys, once again, the mainstream entertainment, are going to nudge them out. And then also, too, what about people that are of a younger age? Are they so used to watching something that's just niche or niche or whatever you want to call it, programming? Like myself, I'm getting to the point where I'm not watching any mainstream programming at all. It's all kind of tech TV. And it was interesting the other night. There's this guy, Lord Carnage, and he does video game reviews, mostly older. And so I'll watch he does like 3 5-minute shows. And I saw probably on maybe my email, it was a Twitter alert or something like that he was doing a live video game review. So I went on.
But have you ever given him any money?
No.
I guess that's the question that I look at it, where you have a fractured audience, certainly, but then where's the money going to follow? And it doesn't. And you're right. I mean, it doesn't mean I have the answer to it, but it's the idea of radio. People thought radio was sort of a crowded market, and there was, everybody has their niche, everybody has their station, and then then the 21st century happens. However, radio still manages to make plenty of money because they actually deliver a demographic. And so I think that's sort of the question, meaning the Everything Sunny on television, which is the precursor of Everything Sunny in Philadelphia, was a web series. But it was a web series that actually delivered an audience in a specific area that's a known test market for the East Coast, and then was able to translate that into money. It's like Justin Bieber, where he was able to translate it into a career. So I think it's a great opportunity for people to get their faces out, but it does draw the question, what's their end game and what's their business model? So it seems like much more relevant for the talent to be successful within their own world. Like I know people like This Frontier Needs Heroes, which is a great band that actually are totally professional musicians. And they've been offered whatever they've been offered and chose not to because they realize they're never going to make money on MTV and selling records. But they may be able to fill enough rooms that if they don't have, the hooks in them, they can translate it into getting a larger percentage of the door in their case. And so I think that that's going to be sort of the issue where you have smaller channels providing content, but still people having to leverage that onto a larger audience, and particularly as long as an audience where a advertiser or a sponsor can find that audience. Because otherwise, your second screen, which is where you're going to be getting your advertising, how are they going to know where to push the information to?
But also, too, I wonder if there's opportunity for people that just do it part-time for fun. Like this Lord Carnage guy. I don't know if he does this full-time, actually, or not. He very well might make enough money to make a living off of it. I don't know. But what I was getting into earlier about that is I got the Twitter alert that he was doing a live thing on YouTube, and he's playing the video game, and then I noticed there's a chat room too when you do the live feed on YouTube, and so I started chatting with people, listening to what they're saying, and my wife was there, and I said, hey, can you do a shout out to my wife Shannon? And he goes, hey Shannon, how's it going? And in my mind, this guy is just as much a celebrity as Brian Williams is on the news, because I watch him all the time. He has that status in my mind, and for me to have him say, "Hey, Shannon," on the air, carried a lot of weight. So, this is that question of, what is a star, and then what is a success? Is success for a guy like him? He works a full-time job, and then he makes a few $1,000 off of this. I don't know. I guess it depends on, whether your success is a cult following and a few bucks. And doing what you like, or just trying to go full steam and having YouTube as a jump-off point, or just to get your word out, something like that.
Well, sometimes I think it may not be up to you. That's what I've noticed.
Yeah. Best laid plans.
There's plenty of people that, trust me, they would quit their day job, but it's still. It beats the monotony of watching the television sometimes. If you're able to get involved with something and put yourself out there, why not? It certainly is going to give a lot more people a lot more opportunities. The world's flat, the world's fast. That's what Tom Friedman's big commentary on it. And I think there's a whole lot of truth to that. But like I was saying earlier, with the second screens and advertising, do you ever expect to be getting most of your advertising in front of you, or how do you expect to be getting your advertising through this media? Because something has to pay for it, and it seems like there is a tolerance. It's the freemium model, where a lot of people would just rather have Pandora with the ads. They'd rather, it goes both ways. But isn't that everybody's putting their credit card in and they just accept the ads? And
yeah, and then I think you get a YouTube premium account or something like that too, where you don't have to watch the ads. Because I put a video up last week, and I thought it was kind of annoying to watch myself because I couldn't see my lower thirds because there was a video right above there too. But you know what? If I'm watching a lot of YouTube, the fact that they give that, and then I'm trying to think, is it Pantheon? I'm trying to think of what it is, but there's this company now where, you could say, I'm doing this specific type of programming, I need this amount of income to do it, and then, you will be a subscriber and be able to watch my content. So I know there's a amount like that. That I feel like is a stretch.
Yeah.
A new site like that.
I grew up in Jersey. I have a hard time giving anybody my credit card number.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's true.
It's not any more complicated than that. I mean, it just once I no, it just anything that smells like that, and it doesn't mean they're doing anything wrong. It's just I think it's a hard sell sometimes.
I think so too. Well, I think that about wraps it up for tonight. Phil, thank you so much for
Thank
hopping
you.
on the interwebs, man.
Okay. Well, you have a good night.
It was definitely a good time. All right, everybody. We'll see you next time.